So apparently Grace's nerdy electrolyte chat in episode 1 was a hit and Grace is buzzing. And in a very wholesome plot twist, we now have Ocean, Grace's favourite electrolyte brand, sponsoring this whole series.
Honestly, it's a dream. And because they are angels, they've given us a juicy discount code just for Two's Company listeners. But first, I just want to remind you why electrolytes matter, even if you're not, say, a 10K loving, sweaty for fun athlete like Sophie over here.
I feel attacked already.
Hydration actually starts on a cellular level. Your cells don't just want plain water. In fact, too much non-mineral water can do more harm than good. They need minerals like magnesium, potassium, chloride, and sodium to get all their tiny, important cellular jobs done. And let's not forget that our cellular function is the backbone of our physiology and our health, folks. But here's the kicker. Because loads of electrolyte brands are basically salt slushies with random flavourings and sweeteners chucked in. And you really just don't need all that nonsense.
Okay, yes, I have definitely been drinking the nonsense once.
So Ocean is pure, simple, unadulterated goodness. No weird stuff. It comes in this very easy pump bottle, so you know exactly how much to measure into your glass. I tend to have it first thing in the morning, especially because you're at your most dehydrated first thing.
Wait, you're saying that my first thing cup of tea isn't hydration?
I'm saying we'll circle back to that with love and compassion, Soph.
Right. Anyway, Ocean are giving you 10% off with the code Two's Company. That's 2 the number, you know the drill. Pop that in at checkout at drinkocean.co, Ocean spelled OSHUN.
We genuinely love this stuff and we really hope you do too. Big thanks to Ocean.
Two's Company, Two's Company, Two's Company, Two's Company, Two's Company, Two's Company. But not 3, that's too much company.
Nailed it.
Hello and welcome to the 2 tiredest ladies in the world.
Wait, that should be the start. Hello and welcome back to Two's Company, the podcast that spans cultural fluff, serious news and politics, fashion, and basically anything else that we want to talk about that we know you will find interesting. My name is Grace Kingswell. I'm a nutritional therapist, and my lovely co-host here is the brilliantly multi-hyphenate Sophie Hellier.
Job titles aside, this season we're diving into all the things that sit outside our day jobs, but right in the middle of what fascinates, challenges, and occasionally morally puzzles us.
This week we are talking about Justin Bieber, Sophie's fave, manicures again, plus what we've been getting up to, reading, and inevitably spiralling off on some lovely tangents that we didn't quite plan on.
Think of it as our curated chaos. We chat, question, laugh, and hopefully just make you feel like you're having a proper natter with your best mate.
Okay, let's go. So, the big news over the last few weeks, if you're a parent to a 3 turning 4-year-old, is that school choices were decided. I'm actually really grateful we live in Cornwall for this, as friends of mine in London, 1, were quite stressed about it, and 2, some of them haven't managed to get their first choice or any of their choices, and then were thrown into hugely stressful situations trying to find a school that they liked for their kids. My son turns 4 in August, so he's actually really little to be going to school, but we've made the decision to send him anyway as he seems very ready, and I think he'd be very bored at his nursery for another whole year. But yeah, loads of mixed emotions about that.
And you're going to have a baby at home, so I feel like you could do school is basically free childcare.
Yeah, that's the other thing, isn't it? No more nursery fees. But it feels so strange to think about them like putting on a little school uniform. Whoa.
I am actually aware that we do need to go and buy school uniforms and shoes and things.
I know, but here's the thing. I'm not going to be buying, Classic Grace will not be buying school uniform from the place where we get school uniforms from, because they're all made of synthetic fibers, and our little kids are like going to be sweating in that all day long, and I don't want Jude wearing polyester trousers and polo shirt. So if anyone is similar to me and wants better options, there are some really good websites now where you can source just 100% cotton kids clothing that's kind of standardized and can be worn at any school. So that's what I'm going to do.
I was thinking this about school shoes. Someone said to me this morning, oh, you're going to go to Clark's and get school shoes. I was thinking, well, actually, I might just see if I can get some like barefoot trainers.
Yeah, because both
Right?
Jude and Loan have only ever worn barefoot shoes. So it'd be so weird to them now put them in a really chunky sole, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Anyway, I'm aware that this chat is really dull for anyone who doesn't have kids. But I'm going to ask something that's even more dull. I've been desperate to ask you. The other day I was out with Grace and her husband Nick text saying, could you buy a new cheap vacuum on Amazon because their
Love that
Dyson
he
is
asked
crap.
permission.
I love that he was doing the hoovering. Anyway, I was like, do not get a new Hoover, just get some new filters. And I promise you, your Dyson will work like new. I'm desperate to know, does your Dyson now work?
I've been meaning to text you every time I'm doing the vacuum. I'm like, oh, must message Sophie and tell her. Yes, the short answer is yes. I am loving vacuuming again. When we got our golden retriever, who's a very long-haired golden retriever as well, we got the Dyson Animal, and it's basically just been so bad. I think it was good to start with, but then very quickly all the filters just kept clogging and it's just useless. I do feel really bad about the plastic wastage though, because the whole point with these filters is that you rinse them out and then you can reuse them and reuse them and reuse them. But I feel like maybe there comes a point where actually you've rinsed them. Yeah.
I
Anyway.
think you can reuse them for 6 months and then time for a new one. But it does make it work. What a boring intro.
I know. Wait, there was also a video I saw on Instagram of someone like taking their Dyson apart and like cleaning all the bits of it. And I sent it to you and you replied, yeah, I do this. What?
Yeah.
Never done that.
I take our Dyson completely apart.
I actually did it yesterday now. I was like, well, if Sophie's got time to do this, then I've definitely got time to do this.
Do you know what? Last time my mother-in-law came to stay, she did it for me.
Amazing. That's definitely the kind of thing that you can outsource to a mother-in-law. So you also went to Wales for a few days last week to hang out with some of your fellow dry robe ambassadors. I love that this is work for you. I mean, it looked really glorious. Very wholesome and fun based on your Instagram.
I had so much fun. I just feel every time I do a trip like that, it's like I'm getting a little bit of myself back, you know, it's like I'm remembering who I am. And even just the little things, sitting around and playing cards with the girls because we weren't in a rush to go anywhere. Like I spent all of my 20s playing cards on surf trips, but you just don't have time for that anymore. And, you know, just played Monopoly Deal all weekend and went canoeing and went running and just had a really good laugh and very good for the soul. And I felt like I collected some pieces of myself.
That's so nice. And I think it's amazing to have stuff to do in your downtime these days that isn't like based on your phone. I started doing jigsaw puzzles with my son, Paw Patrol jigsaw puzzles, and really quickly realized that like actually I want some adult jigsaw puzzles because your brain switches off. It's that kind of thing where like, I don't know, I suppose if you have a good book, it's why I also read like the romantasy genre because it really takes me away from caring about what's happening on my phone. No?
I love a jigsaw puzzle. The last time I did a proper adult one though was in lockdown. But growing up, I had friends who had those big houses and they would have like a board with a puzzle on always, and because the house was big enough, so there was always a puzzle on the go. But not really space in my house to just have a puzzle.
Yeah, also you cannot leave that kind of thing out in front of a toddler.
True. What else have you been doing?
Well, I've also been quietly, maybe not so quietly, mourning the fact that my very hard fought Olivia Dean tickets for one of her O2 shows, which has been happening this week, had to be relinquished due to me being so close to my due date. And if we didn't live quite so far from London, I 100% would have risked it and just gone. But imagine if I went into labour in London and then Nick is like a 6-hour drive away with our toddler in Cornwall. And, you know, like, I don't know, it just felt like something I probably shouldn't do. And I was watching it all unfold on social media. And on the night that I was supposed to go, she brought Sam Fender out on stage. And I'm basically just devastated.
Oh, I love that song.
I know, I love that song too.
You should have just gone for the plot. If you had a baby there, it would have just been a good story. I would have happily gone on your behalf, but I did not get offered the tickets from you.
Well, I was meant to be going with a friend who lives in London, and so in the end, she was just planned to go with her sister. But I did say something about it on my stories, and oh my God, my DMs with people saying, please, can I have your tickets? Before I had managed to say they're not available. One of those situations where you very quickly delete the story so you get no more DMs about that thing. Yeah.
I feel very lucky because I went to a little festival in Cornwall when I was pregnant, so 2021. And we actually went to see Nick Mulvey, who, this feels like a bit of a sin because lots of our friends really like him, but it was really quite boring. Like I didn't, you know.
I don't like Nick Mulvey's music at all.
Well, I really like maybe 2 of the songs, but it was for a headline set, it was very boring.
It's very
Anyway, his
like
support
sit around
act.
a campfire vibes.
Yeah, sit around a campfire, not headline at a festival. Anyway, his support act was brilliant, and I'd never heard of her, and it was Olivia Dean.
Amazing. I have actually seen her before as well. I saw her at the at Shepherd's Bush Empire like 2 years ago or something, and she was fantastic.
Anyway, this nicely leads on to the cultural fluff that I want to talk about. So, jingle. I've read 2 books and I've watched TV. I've got some stuff to recommend to thee.
Is it highbrow, lowbrow, or some other kind of stuff?
It's Culture Corner for cultural fluff. I know this was a couple of weeks ago now. We have not recorded a podcast in a couple of weeks, but I cannot stop thinking about Justin Bieber at Coachella. It's just like looping around my head, closer and closer and closer. I should never sing on the podcast. For context, I was not a Bieber fan when he first blew up. He was like 15 and I was, I don't know, 23 or 24 or something. So it just wasn't my thing. But the Coachella performance was so good. And I think what made it very interesting was everything surrounded it. So he sold his music catalogue in 2022-ish, which was all tied back in him. He stepped back from a tour after he got ill with Ramsay Hunt syndrome, and I think ended up in a lot of debt. So he sold all his music catalogue, which means that now performing those songs isn't as straightforward as it used to be. I think Nick was explaining this to us, but I think you would have to pay royalties to whoever now owns the songs to perform them. So instead of this big polished like traditional set, he leaned into a really stripped back performance. He basically played his own tracks on YouTube and just sang along to them, like almost karaoke style, which sounds like it shouldn't work, but it did. Felt very like intentional and retrospective, and it went through different eras of his life, singing Baby, and just felt very raw and vulnerable and personal. Everyone says, oh, there's something like, there's like watching him healing on stage. But I also think his new music is really underrated. I think the last album, Swag, was co-produced by McGee. And it's got a lot of that. Do you know who that is?
No.
He does that rock. Oh, I've listened to a lot of his music. Yeah, a lot of that. I've just had it on repeat since. It's really changed how I see Justin Bieber as an artist. I don't really see him as a pop prince in the same way now. I just think he's someone who's been through a lot of shit and has figured some stuff out and is now telling his story in a really cool way. Do you love it? Do you hate it? How do we feel about Justin Bieber?
Well, I think that Coachella performance was so clever, wasn't it? Because he not only got, so when you're an artist and you perform live, you get, what's it called? It's like a live performance royalty. So he will have got that, which would have been a fortune. And then also the streaming fee from YouTube. So actually he probably did so well out of that rather than giving his money to someone else. And it's kind of what happened with Taylor Swift, right? Yeah. She's re-recorded all of her, she lost the rights to her music too, and then she re-recorded it and it's all like Taylor's version.
Yeah.
I don't know the ins and outs because I'm not a Swiftie. I'm like everyone else in the world. Do you like Taylor Swift?
I think well, I love the stuff that we grew up with. I think she's only a year or two young. She must be nearly your age, actually. She's like a year or two younger than me. So all of the, I was 15 fairy tale songs were like very relevant at the time. So I love all that. I do, I like Taylor Swift. I really like a lot of her music.
I do wonder if like now I'm going to have a daughter, maybe at some point I'll have to become a Swiftie because my daughter will be like really into her music or something. I don't know, but I'm not a fan. Justin Bieber,
my son likes Taylor Swift.
Okay,
actually.
Sorry, I just massive gender like clanger there
gender
from me.
Stereotypes.
Sorry. Justin Bieber's early stuff irritated me a lot. It's like baby, baby, baby. Oh, like no. Oh my god, so annoying.
Yeah, but we were too old for it. Yeah.
But I quite like some of the more recent stuff. Yeah, I mean, Nick Kingswell would have a heart attack me saying that, but
it's so good. Get him to listen to Daisies.
I know, but it's not like Nick Kingswell vibes, is it really? Not cool enough.
Okay, I have been watching the second season of Last One Laughing. It is so good, like belly laughing, good for the soul. Have you seen it?
It sounds like I need to because I'm in such a rut with
Oh,
TV, which I will tell you about in a minute.
it's so good. It's basically, the concept is they put a load of comedians in a room together, and there's one rule: don't laugh, which is obviously impossible within a couple of minutes. So the whole thing is about who can keep a straight face the longest while everyone tries to break them. And you obviously have these like very deadpan comedians who just say something really like abstract. It's absolutely hilarious.
That sounds so good.
So it's like it's like a chaotic mix of improv and mind games and silliness. But the first series had Joe Wilkinson, who's absolutely fucking brilliant, and Daisy May Cooper and Bob Mortimer. And then this season's got Diane Morgan, who's the one from Motherland, and Alan Carr. It's just very brilliant. I
That sounds
highly
so
recommend
funny. That sounds so funny.
it.
Can I just tell you what I've been watching aside from One Tree Hill, which obviously
Mhm.
does not need a mention on this podcast? Did you know Schitt's Creek?
Yeah,
You know
love.
yeah,
Love.
I'm just trying to remember the actor's name who played. Was it Daniel?
Dan
the
Levy.
brother. Dan Levy has a new Netflix series. I should have googled the
Oh.
name. I will find it out now. Bear with.
How do you not know the name of a show that you're watching?
In the same way that I read on a Kindle and I'm not actually sure what book I'm reading. So Dan Levy has a new Netflix series called Big Mistakes, and it's quite funny. Like, I do find him, I just love him. Everything he does.
I love him.
Yeah, he's brilliant. So I've been watching a bit of that, and the concept is that him and his sister accidentally get embroiled in like a really awful, dark crime gang. So that's quite funny. I've been watching a bit of that.
I don't have Netflix, but I do love him, so maybe I'll get that next. Because I really want to watch The Testaments, the new Handmaid's Tale one that's out. But that's also on a streaming platform that I don't currently have. I think it might be on Disney. I only allow myself one streaming platform at a time.
We're so different with TV. Like, I want to just be like given a warm hug, and you watch stuff that's like quite pithy and uncomfortable.
I don't know what pithy means, but I do like a kind of feminist political dystopian kind of drama.
Yeah. Whereas
is that pithy?
Like Bridgerton.
I will say I've been rewatching all of Girls. I'm on like Girls season 3, which I assume you watched. And if any of the listeners have not watched Girls, get on You've not watched Girls?
I don't have that streaming
one. Formative show of my.
Isn't it on like what's it on?
Now it's on HBO, but Girls is like, I watched it 12 years ago. It's old.
I don't have HBO. I've never heard of it.
There's like 5 or 6 series, and it is the most fucking brilliant show. It was like a very formative show in my late 20s. Anyway, I've been rewatching that because I love rewatching old shows. I've just started reading Lena Dunham's new memoir, Fame Sick, but I've only read one chapter, so I will revisit that in the next episode. But if anyone else is a Girls fan, start reading Fame Sick. We will chat about it in the next pod.
Okay, and I will start watching Girls.
Please. I cannot believe you've not seen it.
Okay, I will do that.
I have one other thing on Last One Laughing. In Wales, with the Dry Robe team, we played Last One Laughing, where at the dinner table, someone starts a timer and the rule is basically you're not allowed to laugh. I lasted a whopping 1.7 seconds before I got a yellow card. And I was out the game with a red card in 9 seconds, and then just spent the whole evening like crying, laughing.
That sounds so good. And what was were you trying to people were trying to tell jokes?
You kind of had to be there, but yeah, people would just say like deadpan weird things, and I just lost the plot.
Sounds good.
I saw this thing in the news about Vinted becoming the 3rd largest fashion retailer in the UK, ahead of Zara, H&M and Shein. And I don't think anyone had that on their bingo card, but I actually think it is brilliant. Not only has it proved that secondhand and pre-loved is genuinely like brag-worthy. I got this on Vinted. But I think it's also shifting how we think about fashion. We're saving money, we're giving clothes a second life, and we're stopping them ending up in landfill, and you just get a bit of a buzz, don't you? I am a Vinted lover, so I think it's very cool that more people are shopping Vinted than Zara.
How do you deal with the fact that the Vinted algorithm is really good if you if you allow it to do its thing. However, I shop for myself on Vinted and my near 4-year-old, so I'm getting like lovely things for myself and then lots of Paw Patrol jumpers. And that kind of like clogs up my feed quite a lot.
Mine is the same, but it serves me very nice Paw Patrol jumpers that are kind of trendy, so I don't mind. And I buy them. I buy what the Vinted algorithm tells me to buy.
I also saw lots in the news recently about Lululemon being sued over like incredibly toxic carcinogenic chemicals in their clothing, which is a big thing that people need to think about. I mean, obviously it's really important to wear natural fibers against your skin, but especially if you're working out and sweating. So just consider that, folks.
A couple of years ago, I replaced all my run kit with a kit from Icebreaker that's all made from merino for that reason. But I have slowly sifted into having some other stuff now. But I don't like all the gym stuff that's made out of recycled plastic bottles. I know it's like, oh, we've recycled plastic, so it's meant to be good for the environment. But I don't want to be wearing plastic bottles when I go running. Thank you.
And also recycled plastic or recycled nylon, it sheds so much faster than virgin versions would do. And so actually then when you put it in your washing machine, you're contributing to like microplastic pollution in the oceans so much quicker because the fabric it just sheds.
Well, you have to use a guppy bag in the washing machine. You have to put it in a bag that catches the microfibers.
Yeah.
Oh,
duh.
My dog. Oh my God.
I thought that was a motorbike.
Listeners to the... No, just listen back to the I Hate My Dog episode. For the first time in US history, I don't know about UK, but US, women over 40 have surpassed teen girls in birth rates. I think that's got to be a good thing that teen birth rates have dropped. They've actually dropped over 70% since the 90s. But I also think it says something quite big about how much harder or more complex it is to have kids or feel ready to have kids. You know what I mean? It's like so bloody expensive. This world that we live in.
I mean, we did that episode where we talked about our Gen Z having less sex. So there's maybe that going on.
They're having less babies too.
They're also having less babies. And I think, women especially are delaying having kids because it is such a huge chunk out of your life to kind of do that, get through those first few years until you can kind of, as you say, get some sort of semblance of who you were back. And I think there's a lot of like wanting to delay it because of career goals and yada, yada, yada. But I suppose that's quite, I don't know. I mean, fertility rates, as we know, are like massively declining. And it is so much harder to get pregnant over 40. So maybe is it a good thing in a way? Like, we're still managing to get pregnant. I don't know. I agree. People are really thinking about it before deciding to kind of go ahead.
I also think this is going to tie into what we're talking about next a little bit, but how having lots of children, obviously it used to be you had lots of children, like low income, poor working class families would have like 10 kids. There was no contraception, no education about it. But now it's almost like a status symbol thing, like to have. I saw, do you know Vogue Williams and Spencer Matthews? I listened to her podcast. She's just announced she's having her fourth baby, and it's very much like I know, but it's only like the very wealthy people. Like she's married to a millionaire. She's able to have 4 children. And, Joe Wicks and his wife, I think she's called Rosie. I think they've got 4 or 5 kids now. And it's like, it's becoming a bit of a status symbol that, only the very wealthy people are able to have all of these children because they've got the luxury of time and nannies and
I saw that
rest,
about Vogue Williams as well. And I was like, wow, because she gets really bad hyperemesis in her pregnancies, like so bad. And that's morning sickness, but where it's like to the level where you kind of need to be hospitalized.
Yeah.
So I was kind of surprised. Like, I don't know. I'm said so many times, I find pregnancy really hard. Like, it's definitely not a walk in the park. And doing it 4 times is, I just found some on my legs, like in this pregnancy, I've got like those, in your veins.
Varicose veins.
Kind of like varicose veins, but what are they called? I don't know, like the really sort of spindly
like
ones.
Spider veins?
Thread veins.
Yeah, I have them really badly around my knees since pregnancy. Yeah.
Like on my leg, and I was like, what the fuck is this? This is so irritating. I don't know why, it just like really, really very much irritated me that I've now got that on my legs and it's not going to go away. So
yeah, I've got it too.
In a sense, kudos to women that feel like they can do it 4 times, because I think it's really friggin' hard. Interestingly, every time you breastfeed, you decrease your risk of getting breast cancer by some percentage. So, as women, like, we were meant to have babies, but I know lots of people that are kind of just one and done these days, and so be it.
Case study A here. I think anyone who has more than one child is like mentally deranged. Are you mad? One child is it's
She
I have
says
one
to
child
me,
and a very naughty, chronically ill dog, and that is plenty enough. Thank you.
yeah, definitely. Like, as you say, when you haven't got loads of childcare support and et cetera, it is just so much harder, isn't it? So there you go.
Whew, you might have a baby next time we record an episode, which is kind of mad.
Probably will, because it takes us a while in between episodes to kind of get our arse in gear, doesn't it? Although I think what we need to do today,
And then
at the end of this call, is put in the date for the next recording and stick to it.
okay, deal. Yeah, but what if you're in labour? I'll just make you do it anyway.
You'll know if I'm in labour because I'm going to have to call you, and it might be 3 a.m. So I'm like really sorry in advance about that.
I'll just come and sleep at your house. And so I know I've talked about this one before, or we have, I feel like a couple of times on the podcast now, but manicures. For once, Grace Kingswell, we are ahead of a trend.
Amazing.
Can you believe it? I have said that I don't have the time or the money to spend getting my nails done. And I know you're very against it for the health reasons, like toxic chemicals and nail varnish. And very interesting, we didn't explain it to me. And you said about it blocks your absorption of light and vitamin D or something, whatever. Well, Marc Jacobs just sent all his models down the runway with bare nails. And I also saw they were looking through Vogue. And although the cover person on Vogue had like chrome tips, it took like 100 pages through Vogue before they got to someone who had their nails done. So all of the fashion models holding handbags and whatnot all had bare nails. And we're seeing some very big celebrities and influencers saying their time's too valuable to waste going to the salon every 3 weeks. So people are starting to opt out of this, like the typical displays of status. People used to wear like big designer logos and fake tan and hair extensions. And now there's this kind of counter signaling going on where, very high status wealthy people are actually investing less in displaying their wealth. Although, I mean,
they're probably still getting Botox, aren't they?
Yeah, still getting Botox. I do love a short bare nails, but I will say it's actually really hard to pull off a bare nail. I feel like mine are always dirty, or like my cuticles are a mess, or, I don't know. I think actually it's hard to have nice looking, healthy bare nails. Hey.
I think, yeah, you probably still need to sort of maintain them in a sense, but I just find I hate the look of my hands with long nails. I also find them massively impractical. I can't do anything with them. And also, I mean, I don't have eczema anymore, but I had chronic eczema my whole life, and having long nails was like a death sentence for me because I'd just rip my skin open more. So I always had them really short. But I also wonder if we might see something like, people not actually having their ears pierced as much. I think that's quite cool these days. Like there's like a big trend for like loads of earrings and jewelry and all that sort of stuff as well. And I also wonder whether we might just see a bit more of a return to just not in all areas.
Neutral. Oh my God, I wonder if we're going to be ahead of this trend because we've got no tattoos. Maybe that'll be super fashionable one day and we'll be like, yeah, I've got totally unharmed skin, thanks.
Well, I was just reading another thing this morning about how bad, I shouldn't go into it because so many people have tattoos and they'll hate me, but it's just like an immunological nightmare.
I'm really waiting for sun damage and like deep set number 11s in the brow to become fashionable.
Yeah, pigmentation. I'm here for it.
Yeah, I mean, people do like tattoo freckles on, don't they? So maybe a bit of sun damage, maybe it's fine. Should we have a jingle? Is there something beeping
wait
at your
a second,
house?
I hope you... Yes.
Is this Jude playing us a jingle?
The really old school bike bells that have like a huge bit that you squeeze and then funnel? He's doing that next door.
That's really nice for the back of a podcast. Thanks. Good
I might just knock on the wall. Less of that, please.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Explain it to me unprofessionally.
I'll keep it short and concise.
Yeah, that'd be nice. So you might, most likely, will have a baby by the next episode. Explain it to me. The purpose of a prenatal doula. And if you want to, share with us your birth plan, because birth plans do kind of make me laugh and cringe equal measures. You just can't actually plan this shit. Honestly, I went into it thinking I was just going to be able to breath work my way through labour in a birthing pool, and not a chance. So if you want to talk about planning for a VBAC, I can't say. I was going to say vaginal, a vaginal birth after C-section. Talk to us about doulas giving birth, Grace Kingswell.
When I was pregnant with Jude, before I knew that I was going to have a C-section because of the placenta thing, I was the same. I was like, I'm going to be fine. I'm a breathwork coach. Like, I'm just like the earth mama, and like, I'm going to give birth with no pain medication. I'm going to be fine. And having worked with the doula now and also listened to almost every episode of The Great Birth Rebellion, which is a fantastic podcast, I am so aware of how hard it is to get the birth you want within the maternity system that we have, which has become so medicalized, and very much takes the woman out of the center of the conversation. And having a doula has been amazing both for me and for Nick, because you get all of the antenatal education, like, what's happening at every stage of labor and all of that stuff, which you kind of need to know.
Why do we say antenatal? I got very confused about the word antenatal when I was having a baby, because it just means prenatal. But why do we have antenatal and why all these different words for the same thing? Antenatal means prenatal, right? Before
That's a
giving
really
birth.
good question. Yeah, I think it does mean the same thing.
What the fuck does it mean? It just means prenatal.
Prenatal, yeah, prenatal care.
Okay, continue.
What was I saying? And yeah, so that's all been really useful. But then the most useful thing is knowing that she will be the one advocating for me to have the birth that I want, which is a physiological birth. I don't want to have another C-section. I don't want to be induced, and I don't want to be hooked up to constant monitoring. When you've had a C-section the first time, you're like high risk, and they want you with one of those bands around your tummy all the time on the CTG.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have that, then someone's coming to kind of check that CTG every 15 minutes and stuff. And, the thing with labor is that it's something that our bodies know how to do, but only if we kind of get out the way of that and allow the hormone cascade to take place. So oxytocin, which is your like love hormone, is also the one that contracts the uterus and keeps labor going. But oxytocin is completely blown out of the window if there's like bright lights and people talking to you and like getting inside your space. So I knew that I didn't want that from the beginning, but then that automatically made it hard for me, and I had to really push for not being on the delivery suite, starting the process at home, maybe transferring to the birth center. So if I do transfer to the birth center, which I probably will, I'm not going to have to talk to anyone, because the first thing they'll say to me when I get there, even though it's on my birth plan, is, do you want a vaginal examination? And if you don't have a vaginal examination now, we can't let you up into the birth centre or in the pool yet, because we don't know how far along you are. Which completely takes as a woman, it's like, I'm going to know how I'm feeling. Like if my contractions have gone from, when you get to that stage where you kind of feel like you need to bear down.
Yeah, but I thought, and I was in the most, like, it was bad. I was not coping, and I think from my thing they thought I would have been very dilated, but they wouldn't let me in the pool because I was only 3 centimeters dilated, but I was 3 centimeters dilated for like 20 hours in agony because my baby was back to back. So they knew to not let me in the pool because I did have the vaginal examination. So,
but had you been at
positives
home,
and negatives,
and had you been at home at that point and you were like, oh, I feel like having a bath, like nobody would have stopped you from getting in the bath. Do you know what I mean? It's like,
yeah, but I think then the point is then you've relaxed and you've slowed down the process at a point where you shouldn't be slowing it down. I can't really remember.
Yes, that is the point. Yeah, that is the thing, isn't it? Is that the water can be so great that it can actually slow down labor.
Yeah.
Yeah. My doula knowing my birth plan and my wishes, like I don't want to be offered a vaginal exam unless I request it. I don't want them listening in to the baby's heartbeat unless I request it. Just things like that.
Well, Johnny Weeks was my doula because he did all of this.
Well, that's great. And I think that's amazing if your partners can do that. But it just means that Nick can just focus on me and being there with me. And then she can kind of hold that, like keep that space around us. And it's just really nice. Like I was having a bit of a wobble the other day about like stressing over the transfer to hospital, and knowing that that's like a difficult-ish time and labor can kind of slow down. And I was like panicking about packing the stuff and like, when do I call my parents, and like, what if it's the middle of the night and then I call my parents, but then maybe I need to call Sophie and all this. And, I just called her, and it was just really nice to just an extra level of support that we don't really.
Have you practiced? I practiced getting in the car and working out what seat and position was most comfortable for me to be on all fours in the back. I remember like getting in and like climbing around on the car seats, and I decided that actually being on all fours on the back seat, holding onto the dog guard in the boot, was the most comfortable.
Yeah.
So that's what I did on the way to hospital. I remember I was holding onto the dog guard, screaming, and then the car behind me, when we stopped at the red lights, it looked like I was in jail, like screaming through this dog guard at the car behind me.
Oh my gosh, so funny. Yeah.
There you go. You can have a little practice later.
I know. I was going to do an Instagram post this morning when I didn't get around to it about the most important things in my hospital bag. And it's an eye mask and my blue light blocking glasses, because what's really interesting that I found out recently is that melatonin, which is your sleepy hormone, actually promotes oxytocin release. So those two hormones in labor work together. So as soon as you see bright lights of any kind, say, for example, on the drive to the hospital, or if you're laboring in the nighttime and you're in the hospital and they've got those fluorescent lights, you're directly working against what your body wants. So for me, it's like, right, if I do get in the car, it's eye mask on, and then I'm in the hospital, like blue light blocking glasses.
I wore my eye mask. So I had my baby in emergency theatre, but I had my eye mask on the whole time. And they were like, don't you want to take your eye mask off and like see what's going on? But I was in a very brightly lit room with maybe 10 people around the bed, like full emergency surgeons coming in, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, absolutely fuck no, do I want to see what's going on? So I had the whole giving birth, I had my eye mask on and my eyes closed until he was out.
Yeah. I should have done that in my C-section, to be fair, because I was the same. I was like, so the environment made me so nervous. But yeah. Anyway, wish me luck. I am still obviously like a bit, I'm trying to be as kind of confident about it as possible, but it's more like the logistical stuff that kind of stresses me out.
Well, especially when you've got another child to look after, it's just totally different, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mailbag?
Mailbag, can now hear the builder,
Yeah,
the drilling.
Lovely soundtracks from your house today. Drilling,
So sorry.
children with horns. Really relaxing environment for someone who's 39 weeks pregnant.
I know.
We had some truly lovely messages in the mailbag. I'm just going to give a few of them a shout out, because we said that we only had about 5 listeners, but we also have Chloe, Joe, Phoebe, Steph, Jade, Matt, Elodie. Adding all of you to our humble list of listeners. I think we must have like at least 10 listeners now. Genuinely though, I think that recording a podcast, sometimes we feel like we're just shouting into the void and that no one's like there listening, which is why I haven't like rushed to record the next episode. But those messages that people send us on Instagram, it really means the world. I'm like, oh, people are actually listening and they enjoy it. And there's people out there refreshing their little podcast feed, waiting to see if we're there. So here we are.
Thanks so much. Yeah. And I actually did get some questions for the mailbag this week, but I feel like maybe we should answer them next time, because we've been quite a long time. Yeah.
I don't know how long we've been, but okay, we'll save them. If you want to know about Grace's skincare thing that she's talked about being amazing, next episode. And if you want to hear about me being an egg donor, next episode.
Awesome. Yeah, if you're happy to talk about that, I think that would make a very interesting conversation. So as ever, if you enjoyed the episode, please follow along on Apple Podcasts so that each episode magically appears on your phone. I love it when that happens. It's still such a novelty, isn't it? It's like, oh, there I am. And I always listen to it in the car, and it's just like really nice. And as ever, thanks so much to our wonderful sponsor, Ocean.
Yeah, and give us a nice little 5 stars in the app. Please, thank you.
Please and thank you. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for engaging. Thank you for being a little part of our corner of the podcast world. Shall we get on with our days?
Yeah, I have a very hectic day. My poor parents are meant to be here looking after my child. They've been stuck in traffic on the M5 since 6:30 this morning. It's now 11 a.m. So, on with the day.
Oh, we'll try and be less tired next week. Bye.
Bye.
that's too much company.
Nailed it. Thank you so much again to Ocean for sponsoring this entire series of the podcast. We are very grateful and also thrilled to be spreading the word about such a lovely brand.
Yes, and Ocean are giving our listeners 10% off with the code Two's Company. That's two, the number, you know the drill. Pop that in at checkout at drinkocean.co. Ocean is spelled OSHUN. And thank you so much.
I say H, not H. Find that weird. Thank you so much to Ocean. Bye-bye.